The Mose Knows podcast, hosted by Corey Mose, greatly appreciates you for tuning into this week's episode. Enjoy.
Good morning.
And good evening, beautiful people. Yep, it's your boy Corey Mose, and right next to me is Dion Parker. And I say right next to me because this is the first time that we're doing this pod in person together. So, what's up, buddy? Love that. Hey. Anyways, let's get to it. Of course, we got a lot of things going on today. We're going to speak about trade deadline, big time going on. You know, there's a big day on Tuesday night, and a lot of people were talking about some election that was going on, but instead we were talking about the NFL trade deadline. Big day on Tuesday. Of course, Cowboys were headliners of the trade deadline. And so to talk about their big-time splash move of Jonathan Mingo coming over to Dallas, we're going to bring in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reporter, Nick Harris. He is a friend of the program, so appreciate him for coming on. We'll get to him later in the show. Of course, Texas plays Florida this week. And as always, our NFL pick'em as well. So a lot of things on the slate for today for this weird interaction between Dion and I being together. So I'm just glad that we're able to work this out.
Okay. Let us know in the comments if y'all mess with this. Maybe me and Corey can find a way to do this every week.
Every week would be crazy. You want me to drive up to Dallas every week?
Hey, maybe I could go to Austin.
Okay, there we go. A little give and pull, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into this. First off, let's just knock out Texas real quick. Of course, they had a bye week last week. Now they got to go against Florida, who lost their starting quarterback, DJ Lagway, last week against Georgia. Now, mind you, they took Georgia to the wire. I mean, it was a surprising matchup to me. It's a rivalry game between the two schools, but just be able to take Georgia to the final whistle showed a lot about this Florida Gator squad. And I guess now Texas, they shouldn't have before, but definitely now Texas shouldn't overlook Florida, especially with the way they play defensively against Georgia. So I can't wait for that matchup. But the one thing that is pertinent right now is the quarterback position for Florida. A lot of question marks about who's going to play. The presumed starter is Aiden Warner. He's a transfer from Yale, and he barely even touched the field at Yale from my knowledge. And so now he's going to get thrown into a situation where he's going against, like I mentioned last week.
Highly ranked.
Like I mentioned last
highly
week.
Stout. Texas defense.
Arguably the best defense in the nation in my eyes. And there's more stats to prove it, but I don't have time to talk about it right now. But yes, so this Florida Gator offense has a tough task against this Texas defense. And now what we learned on Monday within the pressers, when talking to a starting safety, Michael Taft from Texas, he mentioned something that was very interesting that may even give Texas a better advantage than they had coming into Monday.
So he played at Yale last year. My best friend is a guy by the name of Ryan Lindley. He was one of their best receivers last year at Yale.
Okay.
So Ryan wore number 16 for Jackson, just like I do. And Aiden Warner wore number 15 at Yale. So they were locker buddies. So I'm going to get the whole scoop from Ryan here come Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll get all the tendencies. We'll get what gets under his skin and stuff like that. So
Was he a Westlake guy?
he was a Westlake guy. Yeah, he played receiver. And I talked to him yesterday about Aiden. He said he could sling it. He said his arm's phenomenal. He's a competitor. He's a really good football player. He's built for that moment. He wants to play big-time football, and that's his opportunity, so it's going to be cool.
And real quick.
Boomski. So yeah, bro, his best friend from high school was a receiver for Aiden Warner at Yale. And so Taft is going to talk to his brody and be like, hey, is he really like that?
The world is small.
It's a small world, bro. Super small world. So, of course, Texas now has that advantage. They have a little inside scoop about who Aiden Warner is, even though they don't have a lot of tape on him. And so I'm interested to see the matchup. I really don't expect Florida to move the ball. The question will be, can Texas move the ball when it comes to running the football and deep shots? Those have been the two things that a lot of people have worried about, especially within the last couple of weeks. Quinn is averaging less than 6 yards a pass when it comes to how long it's in the air. So a lot of quick stuff, right? Which works when you have dudes healthy like Isaiah Bond coming back, a lot of speedsters out there. But, we all itching for a deep shot. We all itching for, 30, 40-yard pass as we see all around the college football landscape. But sometimes the defense just don't give it to you when they're playing two high safeties against Texas. And so it's going to be a good matchup. The Florida defense, they have a real stout defensive line. They rotated nearly 14 dudes against Georgia. Yeah.
Didn't have fun.
Yeah, Coach Sark mentioned that on Monday, saying he watched the tape. He counted about 14 dudes on that defensive line that got valuable snaps. And so it's going to be a tough game in the trenches. And especially with the way Texas played against Georgia and low-key against Vanderbilt, not being able to run the football against them as effectively, I'm interested to see how they're able to move the ball against Florida on Saturday. But it's an 11 o'clock kickoff. We'll be out there, of course, covering it, and I can't wait for it. But let's move on to the NFL. A lot of things popping off Tuesday night, like we mentioned, especially the trade deadline. And so I just wanted to kind of go through some of the trades that happened on Tuesday. And Dion, if you don't mind, like, I figured we go through them and kind of talk about who moved the needle for us and who didn't move the needle when it comes to these trades. So let's just do 5 or 6 of the top big names that got moved, starting with, I feel like the biggest move on Tuesday was Marshawn Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. Gets traded to, why are you shaking your head?
Man, we're gonna miss them brawls between him and Mike.
Bro, what? You're right about that, though.
That was definitely historic. And man, I know Mike Evans is.
Oh, he's happy.
No, I think he's sad. Like, man.
Oh, you think he liked the rivalry?
Yeah, I'm sure that's a game he loved every year. Like, yo.
Well, he knew he always gonna get ejected.
Yeah, exactly. His hate runs so deep. It's like, yo, this is gonna be weird not having you on the schedule.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, say less. So yeah, Marshawn Lattimore goes over to the NFC East, and now he's going to play for the Washington Commanders. What a flip of a script for his situation, right? You go from the Saints, who just fired their coach. They're losing. They suck. You got Michael Thomas tweeting out about how bad
he's going. I don't know what happened over the weekend where he was just like, yo, I gotta let these tweets off. But I mean, bro, he's still going to I think I saw today he was still going.
Yeah, he's still tweeting, and he's right. So he is out of that locker room in New Orleans, Marshawn Lattimore, that is, and now he's going to a locker room that's winning, that has real Super Bowl hopes, and a fan base that seems to be rallying behind this Commanders squad as they have a new future in Jaden Daniels. And so I can't imagine what it's like for Lattimore, especially for him to come into a situation where he is needed. I mean, that secondary isn't great. You have Eli Forbes on one side and St. Juste on the other. And my barber is actually a big Commanders fan. And he said he can't even use the Commanders on Madden because the corners are so bad. He said, you can't play man. You can't play man. So he's like, thank God I can use my team now because they got Lattimore. So I think this move does move the needle for the Commanders. That's for sure.
I agree. I think, man, complete 180 in a whole year. I mean, you went from one of the worst to, I mean, it's like they're gonna make the playoffs, and that's gonna be a scary team to play. So, yeah, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, let's move over to Deontay Johnson. He comes over from Carolina. He had a good start to the season, a lot of targets, but now things started to dwindle down. Of course, quarterback play plays a factor, but now he's gonna be playing with the reigning MVP and Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Do you like that move for Baltimore? Does it matter to you at all, or is it just another?
It depends. I hope Baltimore continues to be a run-heavy team. I think that's kind of been their formula. Feed King Henry, but if he can just come in and kind of hopefully it's like a Kansas City and DeAndre situation where, we just need you to make that one play at that one moment.
Yeah,
that's it. Because I mean, Zay Flowers is proven to be a number one, so he can be the guy on the other side. I think this can definitely be that piece that can help them get over that Mahomes hump.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this could be like an Odell Beckham type move. Like, Odell didn't go crazy last year with Baltimore, but he made plays here and there, and maybe Deontay could do the same for Baltimore. Next up, another receiver on the move, Mike Williams. You could tell once Devontae got there, Mike wasn't going to get no more targets. So he went straight to the bottom of that depth chart. So now he's going straight to Pittsburgh to help out that squad. With Russell Wilson got them boys playing hard. Defense is great. We'll get to that defense next. But, yeah, Mike Williams joins that wide receiving core of George Pickens. I believe Calvin Austin has been coming alive. And so a young group, they've made plays. Add Mike Williams. This doesn't really move the needle for me, though, because I don't think Mike has been playing great anyways, but maybe you have a different opinion.
No, I agree with you. I don't really see it doing anything crazy, but I mean, kind of just to shore up your depth, I guess you can say, just in case anything happens. As we can see in the NFL, any week somebody's going down, unfortunately. So yeah, I think just to add to the depth, but nothing really that's going to be like whoa.
Yeah, I am interested to see the deep ball factor because we love seeing Rush throw those long shots. He's known for his moonshot passes, and Mike Williams is known to be a deep catching receiver, and so maybe they can pair the two together and see if it works out. But Mike Williams wasn't the top guy that the Steelers wanted. I mean, we heard people saying Cooper Kupp. We heard people saying Brandon Ayuk. Remember, that was the whole thing coming to Pittsburgh. And so I'm sure the Steelers fans are like, I guess we'll take Mike Williams. I guess we'll take him. They would also take Preston Smith over from Green Bay, coming over to the Steelers now, defensive lineman. And that defense is already great for Pittsburgh. This move didn't move the needle for me either. It just didn't make sense for me because you have two dogs on the edge with T.J. Watt and Highsmith already. So I just didn't understand why he wanted to add another pass rusher. I don't know when he's going to get on the field because those two aren't coming off the field on third down. So we'll see how they use them. I'm interested to see how they use them, but this just doesn't move the needle for me when it comes to this move.
Same here. I mean, like you said, you're already a dog on defense, but like you say, again, you can't never have too many decent pieces. So.
Yeah, you want to have depth. You never know. Injuries happen every week, so I give you that. And 2 more to go. Zadarius Smith coming over from Cleveland. Oh, I bet he was happy to get out of Cleveland. No, he was happy to get out of Cleveland.
After what Jameis did, yeah.
No, exactly. And it's kind of like a similar situation with Lattimore. Coming from a horrible situation to now, Zadarius is moving to a prime time, I think the best team in the league right now, and they are rolling. And now he's going to be needed just like Lattimore. They need Lattimore in that secondary in Washington, and they need Smith in this defensive line in Detroit because they lost Aiden Hutchinson, and no one has been able to get pressure on that defensive line since then. So he's going to be a big role for the Lions, and I think this does move the needle because now you have a guy on the edge that can really cause havoc on third down and passing situations for the Lions. And so can't wait to see how these two marry together, but hopefully it doesn't work out on Sunday because they play the Texans. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Hey, all red uniforms, they're debuting on Sunday. Battle red.
I definitely wouldn't have done it this way. Definitely wouldn't have done it.
No, saying that. I'm like, bro, against the Lions. Yeah. We in prime time, but like against the Lions. Yeah, oh, brother.
To do that for Dallas.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Last one, of course, Jonathan Mingo. Carolina Panthers, and if you don't know who he is, because there is a chance you don't know who Jonathan Mingo is. Second round pick, I believe at an Ole Miss. He was 4th-string receiver for Carolina behind Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, and of course Deontay Johnson, who also got moved to Baltimore. And so the thing about this trade, though, he got sent for a 4th round pick. And the crazy thing about this is that if we compare the other trades around this whole last couple of weeks of wide receivers, if you go down the line, right, DeAndre Hopkins, who had a huge night, kind of killed my fantasy team. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He did.
Yeah, he killed my fantasy team. I lost because of D-Hop. He got sent over for a 5th rounder. It's a conditional 5th that can turn into a 4th. I've seen mixed reports, though. Some say 4th turn to a 3rd. I don't know. It's whatever. But either way, Devontae Adams got traded for a 3rd rounder. Deontay Johnson got traded for a 5th rounder. Mike Williams, I believe, was a 4th rounder as well. And all these guys are established wide receivers in the league. Some of these guys, Hall of Famers, Devontae and D-Hop. And Mingo, who's a 2nd-round player who has 55 catches, 539 yards, and 0 touchdowns for his career, was traded for the same compensation as those other guys I just mentioned. I just don't understand. You smiling? Why are you smiling?
Man, the greatest reality show on TV has to be the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to speak with Nick about this because, I mean, they're just look. Jerry knows how to keep them in the headlines.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, let's keep this ball rolling. You mentioned Nick, so let's get to the interview with Nick Harris. He continues to be a driving force in the Cowboys coverage. If you don't follow Nick, you should. And he's just a friend of the program. I'm so happy to have him on, and he knows what the heck he's talking about. So here's our conversation with Nick Harris. All right, everybody. Now we're joined by the new man at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. It's weird, bro. I'm happy for you that you got a new job, bro. I'm so excited for it. But of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Harris. Nick, how has the new gig done for you?
Man, it's been good. It's a blessing. Every day's a blessing. Excited to be here.
Hardest working man in Dallas. Hardest working man. Well,
I tried.
Right behind Jerry Jones, of course, right?
Some would say, some would definitely not say.
Well, look, man, we got to jump into it. There's a lot of Dallas news, speculation. They just made a big time trade, right? Did you want to get into a little bit of this big time trade that they made recently?
Yeah, big time. Depending on who you ask, that's probably y'all been talking to Jerry Jones. Y'all already listened to him twice here. They traded for Jonathan Mingo yesterday ahead of the deadline. It was somebody they really liked during the draft process. It was a guy they had a third round grade on a couple of years ago, whenever he came out in the 2023 draft class. Obviously, they weren't able to pick him. Carolina did with the number 39 overall pick. He hadn't really panned out in Carolina. Look at a couple of different reasons why that might be the case. You can look at inconsistent quarterback play, but you could also look at his inability to create separation. And going into a receiving core that has had a season where every receiver has had trouble creating separation, you kind of wonder exactly where he'll fit in. Now, he is more of a physical guy, 6'2", 220 pounds. So he brings a little bit more oomph to the room rather than, a guy like CeeDee Lamb or Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, etc. So he'll have some more opportunity to do more physical ball carrying type of things in the receiving room. But overall, I think the returns on this, we're going to have to come back to this here in about 8 weeks and understand exactly why that they did make this trade, especially considering that they gave up a 4th round pick to do it. I mean, you look at some of the other trades that happened ahead of the deadline. DeAndre Hopkins got sent for a 5th round pick. Deontay Johnson basically got sent for a pick swap. It was definitely a baffling decision as far as compensation goes.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then you throw in Devontae Adams into that, a 3rd round pick. So I know it's just one round before, but it's still just a 3rd for Devontae and a 4th for Jonathan Mingo. And so it seems like Jerry Jones is still trying to press forward to win games. I know a lot of Cowboy Nation was expecting them to be selling at the trade deadline. But did it surprise you that y'all brought somebody in instead of sending people out?
No, it doesn't necessarily surprise me, given that Jerry Jones, he had said on Sunday that they want to be buyers at the deadline. They don't want to be sellers. They could have easily have sold. They have a lot of expiring contracts on the books right now. They could have offloaded a couple of those, picked up some draft capital. But instead, Jerry Jones, he still sees an opportunity to win this year, and he went ahead and bought at the deadline. He spent draft capital to go get a guy in Jonathan Mingo.
You got to win without Dak. Dak's on IR now. What's the sentiment around the building with Dak being injured? Cooper Rush comes in. I know he was 5-1 last year as a starter. And so how does the vibe of the building right now with Cooper Rush being QB1?
Yeah, there's confidence in Cooper Rush just based on what he has done when he's needed to fill in the past. Back in 2022, he came in for 5 games and was 4-1 in that stretch. And then back in 2021, he needed to start a Sunday night game in Minnesota. He won that game. So 5-1 as a starter, where he's needed to come in and fill in for Dak Prescott. So there's confidence that he can step in and kind of do the same things. But it also has been 2 years since he's been asked to step on and play in a competitive game in an NFL field. So it'll be interesting. And as well as Trey Lance, I think there's some situational things that they could use with Trey Lance in a Taysom Hill type of role if they explored that. Now, he was asked today, hey, have you ever been interested in doing some running back receiver type things? And he said no. So maybe not necessarily a Taysom Hill type of role, but I think he is a guy that you can put on the field for 10, 15 snaps, figure out what exactly you can maximize out of his athleticism, and try to make that a part of your offense too, especially now that you can use him.
He said no. That's crazy.
Hey, he said, nah, I came here to play quarterback. I'm not here to do anything else. But we're probably going to see you in a Wildcat, my brother. I'm sorry. But, I mean, look, we're looking up the road ahead. I mean, Dak is going to be presumably out at least for 4 games. It's a tough stretch. You got Eagles. Texans have had a rocky year. Commanders. And, Corey has said it last week that Daniel Jones is actually playing pretty decent. So, I mean, the team was completely different last time Cooper Rush came in. I mean, how do you expect these next 4 games to go for him?
Yeah, it's really tough to tell, especially considering the schedule ahead. It's not looking great. They are expected to get Micah Parsons back this week, so that should add kind of an element to their pass rush that they have been missing. There is confidence defensively that they're starting to kind of put some things together post-bye week as far as, not getting back to what happened against Detroit, what happened against Baltimore, what happened against New Orleans. So we'll see if that can continue to stack. But if that defense cannot step up in the absence of Dak Prescott, I don't see them winning a game, much less multiple.
Wow.
I mean, look, I think it's so funny, Nick, how like before the season started, the Dak Prescott contract was going on. There was chirpings about like, oh, maybe they just tanked for Shedeur Sanders, but everyone thought the team's not going to be bad enough to have a high enough draft pick to get Shedeur.
Yeah.
Now, it's looking like they could have an option if they wouldn't have signed Dak. And so looking back on it, I'm sure Jerry Jones isn't, saying he made a wrong decision.
Never.
But from your perspective, Nick, what do you think about that whole contract? And now looking, with hindsight, could or should have Jerry Jones waited for that Dak contract and see how he played this year and see how the team performed this year before signing him to that big deal?
That's something you would probably have to ask Jerry, just in the sense of like, how confident was he in Dak Prescott? And if he was as confident as he alluded to multiple times during training camp about how he wants Dak to be the quarterback for, quote, the rest of his time, then yeah, it probably made sense to go ahead and pull the trigger before the season rather than after the season when he hits the open market and that price tag is a lot higher. So if he wants Dak Prescott in the building, yes, it makes sense. But if there was any inclination in his mind being like, is Dak the guy? Then yeah, it probably would have made sense to push back into next offseason. But I don't think that's what it was. I think it was a situation where, he wanted to get his guy locked up long term, and he probably wanted to do it sooner rather than later, so he didn't have to foot more of a bill than he already did.
I just wish we would have gave Dak a running back.
Yeah,
He gave him plenty running backs.
What the heck is going on with Zeke?
What you mean?
Please let me know what's going on with Zeke.
Yeah, so multiple times he has been tardy to meetings, and it's just kind of been something that, hasn't really been addressed, but it's been noted. And then last week, told that he was not going to be active for the game against the Falcons. They were elevating Dalvin Cook, wanted to see what he could bring to the running back room. And there was a disagreement had, and both sides decided that it would be best if he didn't travel to Atlanta. That he subsequently missed a team meeting on Saturday. So, there was a lot that went into it. But he was back on the practice field today. Jerry Jones said yesterday that he anticipates him being on the field on Sunday against the Eagles. So that's still very much a situation that's fluid. If I had to anticipate, though, I would imagine he's inactive for that game against Philadelphia. That's just me theorizing right now.
So, has he been inactive not inactive, but was he missing meetings all year? Or was this like a recent thing that they just felt like, okay, these last 2 weeks he's been missing a lot of meetings or coming late to meetings?
I was just told habitual tardiness to meetings. That was more sort of thing.
Got you. Look, bro, I was watching the game on Sunday. Dak goes out. CD clearly was not healthy. And now they're both out the game late in the fourth quarter. Over $360 million dedicated to these two guys on the sideline. It felt like rock bottom. But then, like Dion mentioned earlier, the schedule ain't looking good. Do you think it could get worse from what it is right now? Because I feel like it is at a low point right now in that building.
Yeah, 3-game losing streak. I'm not sure how much it does get worse unless it just continues to snowball. I do think
they still have the Panthers on the schedule, guys. I want to make sure we all know that. They do have the Panthers on the schedule, so I do predict this could get worse.
Yeah, that is true, because you ask New Orleans, they certainly can get worse if you lose to Carolina. All of a sudden, you don't have a head coach on Monday. But I think in the Cowboys' case, there's still confidence in the building that this team can make a run. As far as us in the media and on the outside, I don't see a path there realistically. It's a tough schedule down the stretch. They still got to play Washington twice. They still got to play Philadelphia twice. They got Houston. They got Cincinnati. I mean, there are tough teams left that they have to go through, and you would have to imagine that they need to go 7-1, 6-2 down this stretch to be able to push into the playoffs and figure that out. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. They got a lot of. This is gonna be a tough stretch. Nick, do you feel like maybe they should have called it quits earlier in the season? Like this season doesn't seem to be like it's gonna end very well. Are you hearing maybe we could see any firings in the future?
Doesn't sound like it. I do wonder though if it gets to a point eventually, if this team is, let's say, 4-10 or 4-9, whatever it may be. I wonder if it's a situation where Mike McCarthy in the last year of his deal goes to Jerry and is like, hey, can we have a mutual parting of ways here? Just because either side benefits from having the season finish at that point. McCarthy's career record gets worse, and Jerry slows the transition post-McCarthy. and whereas he could start that transition as soon as they realize they're not in the playoffs, or as soon as mathematically they are out of the playoffs. But as far as communication in the building right now, there's still 100% confidence in Mike McCarthy from Jerry Jones, at least to what he's saying to all of us. That's all we can take right now.
Yeah, you're going to do face value. And Jerry's only fired one coach, right? Mid-season?
Yeah, and it was Wade Phillips, and he said he regretted that a couple of weeks ago. So I think that's starting to factor into his decision-making as well.
What do you think about Mike's comments about he felt like throwing the tablet down wasn't adequate for his age?
Yeah. I mean, that was a moment of frustration. It was certainly wild because you rarely see him show emotion on the sideline, much less that kind of emotion. And I wonder if he had to pay for an iPad. I'm sure he did, right? There's got to be some sort of fine involved in
that. I mean, it has to be. I've never seen him act out like that before. So that was shocking.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, Nick, did the lip readers get it right about what Dak said? About we effing suck?
We haven't had the opportunity to ask Dak about it. He's if he goes on injured reserve, we won't have the opportunity to talk about it until he gets back. So, and by that point, I don't think it'll be necessarily a topic anymore. So, I don't think we'll ever know.
Dang, I want to know. Maybe social media does their thing. Like, maybe he. Oh no, I didn't say that. I said I wanted French fries or something. So, golly, that sucks. I would definitely. If there's any way, Nick, please, in 4 weeks, do us a solid. Hey, I know you were gone 4 weeks, but
you know what? I'm gonna keep this in mind. Just for you guys, I'm gonna keep this in mind.
I appreciate that. CD, he's solid. I heard he practiced, right?
Yeah, very limited fashion. Like he had his helmet, he had his shoulder pads on, but he wasn't doing anything crazy today. He's very much kind of I initially said week to week earlier in the week, but I think it's more of a day-to-day situation. As each day passes, there's more optimism about his ability to play on Sunday.
And to be honest, Nick, I also wanted to bring you on just to ask you personally, how has the new shift been working for the Star-Telegram? Just want to give you a flower because, man, we've been watching from afar, but we've been killing it. Is your duties different now, or is it kind of similar?
Yeah, it's it was a smooth transition because I was able to stay on the same beat. Obviously, I'm doing the same job in essence, but different expectations, different bosses, and it's been cool being on the other side of the wall. Whereas I was on the inside, now I'm on the outside and trying to work into the inside. So it's fun. It's what I grew up wanting to do, and I'm happy I'm here.
You should have sources on the inside, huh?
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Allegedly.
Sources say.
Nick, we love to talk fantasy here. Do we have anybody that we could, since we have Dak out? I mean, is there anybody potentially you would be looking to pick up on the Dallas squad on the waiver wire, or somebody that maybe have a good opportunity to do something, crazy these next 4 weeks?
If you're in a 2018 league, maybe. If not, I would take any running back that is playing against this Cowboys defense for the next 9 weeks.
All right, that's nice to know.
Okay.
I appreciate it. What do you mean? I thought they just got this star receiver for a 4th-round pick. Don't start him.
Look, I am more than welcome to be wrong on that.
Hey, look, man, I appreciate you, Nick, for the fantasy GM. You know what I'm saying? He put in good information for us.
That's right.
Thank you. We got to go against each other this week.
Oh, we do. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't have Saquon. Crap. Crap.
Oh, man. But yeah, Nick, I know you got stuff to do. So thank you so much for joining us, bro. I really appreciate the time, man. And can't wait to continue to watch your coverage.
Always. I appreciate you guys, man. Have me on more.
I always love when Nick hops on because he knows what the heck he's talking about. I like how he's like, look, there's still belief in the building.
Man.
I don't know how they have belief in the building.
Drugs. Gotta be drugs. Gotta be drugs.
A little psychedelic.
Gotta be something. Boy, I don't. Everybody doesn't see a way in sight that this can turn around. But, hey, I guess you got to believe if you're a professional athlete. So, best of luck to them. It's going to be fun to watch. And like I say, there's definitely lower they can go. So I am circling the Carolina game. Maybe this be a Bryce Young masterclass game. Oh my God. Chuba Hubbard. Oh my God. If that game, oh man, that would be great.
Hey, Jonathan Brooks got activated.
Ooh.
Jonathan Brooks got activated. And you know who's supposed to draft Brooks? The Cowboys. Let's just say that. Hey, maybe that's the breakout game for Brooks. Hey.
It's gonna be, I'm certain. I'm trying to remember if they're at the house.
But Nick was even mentioning he doesn't think like they could get to that point. He feels like after the Texans, if they lose that game, he could start to see some firings happen. And he made a good point though about like McCarthy's overall record, career record. There's no point for him to mess up his coaching record every single week. I mean, he has a great coaching win percentage. If I'm him, it's like, bro, I'm gonna keep losing, messing up my overall win percentage, messing up my chances to go to the Hall of Fame. Like, I feel that. But yeah, it's gonna be sticky situation in Dallas right now, and they can only get
the greatest show on TV, man.
Dallas reality TV up at the Star, man. So yeah, let's keep on going with the more picks from around the NFL. We're gonna do our little NFL pick'em, and man, last week I did pretty well. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna cap. Did pretty well. Got a couple good dubs, which then
craziness.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think if we were doing money lines, maybe we would do better. But since we're doing the spread, these games it's hard to predict.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard to predict.
It's tough.
I mean, every week before Thursday. Well, we don't do Thursdays on these, but man, first game Sunday, I feel like, man, I'm finna go perfect this week. Then Eagles want to have a close game.
Carolina wins.
Carolina wins.
With Derek Carr starting.
Yeah.
And Chris Olave.
Yeah.
You just can't.
You can't predict it. You really can't predict it.
You can't.
But yeah, let's get into
it. We'll try to predict it now.
We'll try. We will try. But look, one thing I guarantee is definitely this first one. New England is the underdogs going to Chicago as a 6.5 favorite. For me, I mean, Drake May is looking like a guy over there.
Okay.
Looking like a guy over there. Ramondre Stevenson, fantasy-wise, amazing week. Had him on my bench. I'm going with New England. I'm going with New England to cover. If there's one thing you know about the Bears, they hate to score points. Everybody hates each other, and it looks like Chicago. So receivers hate the quarterback. The line hates the quarterback. Quarterback hates everybody else. So I'm going with New England to cover. Who you got?
Yeah, I got New England covering too. You make a good point. Like saw the videos of DJ Moore. If you haven't, of course, walking off the field during a play. I've never seen that before in my life, unless a guy was injured. But he just walked off the field during the middle of a play. It just seems like a lot of turmoil over in Chicago right now. And when a guy like Caleb is the captain of your ship, I can't imagine what that's doing to him mentally as these games go on. And they also, left tackle, right tackle, both hurt. So now the offensive line is having some injury issues. So, of course, protecting Caleb is already a problem. And then once he wants to do his little ad-libbing in the pocket, that doesn't help either. So, there's fault all around. And that's why I think, like you mentioned, Drake May has looked good in these last couple of starts. He looks decent. Of course, he lost the game with the interception at the end of the game last week against the Titans, but he kept it close. He took it to overtime. Stevenson looks to be getting his form again. So, yeah, 6.5. I like New England. Next up, Buffalo versus Indianapolis. The Bills are 4.5-point favorites, Dion. I actually took the Bills to cover, even though they're going to Indy. After watching what the coach did last week against Minnesota, Buffalo, I think, can do the same thing, which dominating on offense, moving the ball, and I think that 4.5 they can cover.
Yeah, same here. Give me Buffalo. Flacco did not have a man. He looked like they made the wrong decision in benching Anthony.
Against Minnesota, though, we've talked a lot about that Minnesota defense. So I think against the Bills, I'm interested to see how Flacco looks against them at home. So we'll see if he can get Josh Downs to football, give Michael Pittman Jr. to football, give Adonai Mitchell. Oh, man.
Next up, we got Minnesota versus going to Jacksonville. Minnesota is obviously the favorite here at 3.5. Surprisingly, Jacksonville had it close last week versus the Eagles. I guess it was trash time. The Eagles just said, F it. We're going to let it close. Y'all bets. We don't give a damn about it. But I'm going with Minnesota. I think they're on a roll after having a 2-game skid, bounced back last week. I think it's another week where they can go ahead and figure a way to 3.5. I think that's pretty doable for them to cover. So I'm definitely rocking with Minnesota at 3.5. What you got?
Yeah, I feel that too. I definitely think Minnesota 3.5 is an easy bet. I like that a lot. I wonder if the line's going to move, especially after news of Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, I should say. Trevor Lawrence was limited in practice. He said he got beat up against Philly last week and he had some upper body issues. So he will be limited going into the weekend. Will he play? That is still up in the question. And so if he doesn't play, I'm sure that line is going to move. But if he does play, if it's at 3.5, I still think Vikings definitely cover that and then some, especially now that, it seems like the offense is rolling back again with TJ Hawkinson in the starting lineup again and getting healthy after that torn ACL last year. So, yeah, we've got Vikings there. Next up, Denver, who got surprisingly blown out last week against Baltimore. Now, mind you, Baltimore was kind of like coming off an embarrassing loss to Cleveland. So I should have factored that into our decision-making that it was a get-right game for the Ravens against the Denver Broncos. But now the Broncos have a divisional opponent against the Kansas City Chiefs. Will the Broncos be the team to stop this unbeaten streak for the Chiefs? Do you think, Dion?
No, of course not. But 9.5 is a lot. I'm going to go with Denver. I'm going to trust that they can make it close. Because, Kansas City couldn't stop Baker. He has K-Dot as his number one guy. So I'm hoping maybe same thing. Denver can keep it close. I'm going to go with, I don't know if it's a dark horse pick, but I'm going to pick Denver at plus 9.5 to cover. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a divisional game. And, they just got embarrassed by Baltimore. So I'm sure they want to clap back and show the nation that they're not bums, as Baltimore just ran all over them. And when it comes to divisional matchups between Broncos and Chiefs, it's always kind of close. It reminds me of like the Raiders. Like it's always a tight match. And always, of course, with the Chiefs this year, it's going to be tight. So 9.5 is a lot of points to me whenever the Chiefs are playing. And that would have hit on Monday as they played. Who they did on Monday?
They played Baker.
Baker, man, Lake Travis alone. Yeah, so that game wasn't supposed to be that close either, but the Chiefs just somehow make it close every time. So 9.5, I'm good on that. Next up, another divisional matchup between the Falcons and the Saints. Mind you, like we mentioned earlier, the Saints lost to Carolina last week, and then they also lost Chris Olave to a concussion. Also, Jawan.
And lost a coach.
Yeah, and they lost a coach. It's a lot of things going downhill, but the spread is only 3.5, despite the Falcons showing out against Dallas last week. This is kind of surprising to me now. I'm looking at the spread. 3.5. Falcons are rolling right now with Kirk Cousins. Saints are going downhill, but 3.5 seems kind of small. Dion, what you think?
Man, maybe Vegas trying to set us up. I don't know, but this seems like an easy pick right here. I'm going with Atlanta. I think, having to throw in an interim coach at the time or throwing a coach mid-season, try to figure it out. And you got Derek Carr. It seems like he's losing the locker room again. Give me Atlanta. I think 3.5 is, it's a deal. That's a deal. I don't want to say a lot because it just seems too good to be true. But yeah, give me Atlanta there. Who you got?
Well, I may make the same mistake I made last week. Can I pick the Cowboys to cover that 2.5 against the Falcons? Because I was thinking like Atlanta is going to Atlanta. They're going to Falcon at some point. And maybe I was just a week too early.
No,
right? Maybe I was just a week too early.
He's not good.
So I am a big proponent of when a coach gets fired, that next week, the team just becomes a different team. I just feel like you look back in history. Remember Jeff Saturday? Mm-hmm. Remember when he got hired?
Yeah.
And the Colts somehow beat the Chiefs? I just feel like this is one of those games. You got everybody talking smack about Derek Carr. I know he sees the tweets from Michael Thomas. He sees the tweets from Chris Olave's dad. And so, at home.
There's no way.
At home?
There's no way.
Yeah, I'm going Saints. Who that say? Who that say? 3.5? I'm going Saints.
This guy oh my God. Next up, we got San Francisco going to Tampa Bay. They got Tampa Bay as the favorites, 6.5. San Fran's coming off
San Fran favorites.
That's what I think that was it?
No.
San Fran. Okay. San Fran is a 6.5 point favorite. San Fran's coming off a bye. We have sparklings of McCaffrey may come back this week.
Need him to.
But I don't know, man. Baker had an amazing game. Amazing game this past week.
Having a great year.
Yeah. And with guys falling left and right. I think I'm gonna go Tampa Bay here at plus 6.5. I think they can make this close. I don't think they'll win, just because they're just too bad. I think they're too banged up offensively, but I think it'll be close. Who you got?
I'm low-key going San Fran. I think this is going to be the game where we recognize that, dang, if he plays. I'm banking on McCaffrey playing. If he plays, I think that we're going to all realize, yes, Jordan Mason was great. Yes, Garendo was cool. But there's a reason why McCaffrey is McCaffrey. And I think that we're gonna get reminded by why he is that guy. And so for that to happen, they need to win by more than 6.5 points. So I'm gonna just go San Fran going into Tampa Bay, and maybe this is the week when the injuries catch up to the Buccaneers and they're not able to play as well as we've seen in the weeks past. Next up, this is an intriguing matchup. I like this a lot. Steelers going to Washington. They are 2.5-point underdogs to the Commanders. Imagine saying that at the beginning of this year, that the Steelers are underdogs to the Commanders. 2.5 points. Now Marshawn Lattimore is a Commander in that secondary. Mike Williams is now a wide receiver in Pittsburgh. A lot of moves at the trade deadline for these two teams. Who will have the biggest impact out of those new acquisitions? We'll see on Sunday. But for right now, 2.5 points. I'm gonna go with the Commanders. I think the Commanders cover that 2.5. It's gonna be tough. The Steelers are a great team. Actually, F that. Nah, bro, I'm going Steelers. I like TJ Watt, bro.
I was about to say,
I like TJ Watt,
I like
bro.
both of them, but I just think the Steelers defense is going to wreak havoc. And I think they'll show that this team has some youth to it. So yeah, I'm going Pittsburgh. It's crazy. I know it may sound crazy. We're picking the old guy, old Russ. But yeah, I think that defense is just too much for them to overcome. So yeah, give me Pittsburgh. Next up, we got Tennessee going to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a 7.5 favorite. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. 7.5 favorite. 7.5 point favorite. That is a lot of points, but I'm gonna trust Herbert.
Okay.
I'm gonna trust Herbert and the boys, man. They play an ugly brand of football over there, but it seems to be working this season. Harbaugh got them figuring it out every week. So Quentin Johnson had a crazy week. Just the guy that can't catch. He just had a crazy week. But yeah, I don't have faith in this Texas team, the Tennessee Titans team. So give me Herbert. Who you got?
Yeah, we mentioned this a couple weeks ago about how I randomly looked up what defense is leading the league in points given up or yards given up, and it's the Chargers. I was like, when did the Chargers have the number one defense in the league? And they continue to show it. I mean, I don't know if you saw last week, but the tipped interception, that was crazy. And so I like this 7.5 just because Titans can't move the football. Mason Rudolph, I don't see how the Chargers are going to allow them to score any points. And so I like the Chargers at 7.5 as well. I just like that defense. And Herbert's somehow figuring out things in the passing game with Ladd McConkey too, doing his thing. So yeah, I like the Chargers. Next up, the Jets coming off a win against the Texans on Thursday night. Embarrassing loss by Houston. The Jets are going to Arizona, who continues to show us that Kyler is playing great football. Marvin Harrison figures things out, but even last week, it was great to see that they didn't need Kyler to be crazy to get a dub. The running game was phenomenal last week against the Bears, and so it's a pick'em game. Jets are 0.5 point underdogs to the Cardinals. I like Cardinals here winning this game at home against the Jets. Who do you have, Dion?
Yeah, give me Cardinals. I'm thinking that connection between him and Harrison is there's another week where I know the Jets may have won, but they'll find a way to jet this thing up and find a way to lose. So yeah, give me the Cardinals. I think they won by a field goal, actually.
Okay, field goal game. I like that. Oh man, this ain't gonna be a field goal game.
My team, baby.
Oh yeah, this your team. This your team.
My team, baby. We got Eagles versus the Cowboys. Cowboys at the crib with the Philadelphia Eagles being a 7.5 favorite. Oh man. You know what? Crazy enough, I think I'm not gonna. I was gonna say it just because the Eagles last week they let Trevor Lawrence keep it close, but they don't have Dak. They don't have a quarterback. They're not gonna have a running game. It's leading to this is gonna be another. So So give me the Eagles.
Move your hand.
Yeah, give me the Eagles. Jalen Hurts. Please, Jalen Hurts. No tush push. Get him on
the Saquon.
Get guys the ball.
Get him on the Saquon.
But yeah, I got Eagles. Who you got?
I like Eagles as well here. I thought A.J. Brown was going to be out for an extended amount of time, but he did practice today. So I guess that knee injury didn't really keep him out too long. He missed the second half of the game last week, but for him to be practicing on Wednesday is a good sign for him to play on Sunday. And so, like you mentioned, no Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush in that quarterback, even though, as we talked to Nick earlier, 5-1 as a starter for Cooper Rush. But I just don't know how many of those teams were as good as the Eagles in his time when he was a starter. And so at home, you could see maybe Dallas hears all the noise and wants to prove everybody wrong, but I just can't see them do that, man. I got the Eagles 7.5 for sure, man. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
I just don't see. They can't run the football. Cooper Rush is your quarterback, and nothing against Cooper, but you're not Dak. CD's hurt. He's going to be able to play, but he still has that AC sprain in his shoulder. Defense can't stop the run. Eagles have Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's not looking like it's going to be a good day for them. But next up on the slate, I know this one's going to hurt you. We got prime time Sunday night. Detroit going to Houston. Detroit is a 3.5 favorite in this matchup. I'm sorry, Corey.
Yeah.
I know.
I understand.
I know your love for Houston. I know your love for your boys out there, but I think Detroit covers this one. They beat them. I think they probably beat them by more than 3.5.
Okay, I didn't want you to put a number on it.
Just saying. I think it'll be pretty bad out there. But yeah, give me Detroit. Who you got?
Am I crazy?
I mean, who'd you pick earlier? You picked
I picked the Saints.
Yeah, you picked the Saints.
I picked the Saints to cover. Not to win, but just to cover. The Texans just have to cover. 3.5 points. I'm checking right now to see if Nico Collins is going to be activated. Yeah, he's activated. Don't know if he's going to pass all his tests for his hamstring. No setbacks. Nico Collins back. Battle red jerseys.
Whatever you need to tell yourself. Whatever you need to tell yourself.
Battle red jerseys. CJ Stroud. We got a guy off waivers from the New England Patriots to play guard. So hopefully some help up front. Lions are the best team in the league.
Yeah,
they look really good too.
Great defense.
Great
offense.
And they beat the crap out of the Packers without Brian Branch, too. He got kicked out the game early in the first quarter. Give me the Texans, baby. Texans at plus 3.5. Let's go. Battle red, baby.
Last game of the week, Monday night, 7:15. Miami is traveling to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka. They got LA as a 2.5 point favorite. I can't go against McVay, man. McVay has shown me week in and week out that he's either gonna have it close or he's gonna win, and it's gonna be a surprising win. No matter who you think is gonna outperform LA, they don't have a McVay out there. So give me Stafford, give me Coop, give me Puka. I'm going Rams. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm right there with you because of those three guys. It seems like every time McVay has his guys, Stafford, Cooper, Puka, he's coach of the year. Exactly. Like, he's able to get this offense rolling. And even last week, whenever Puka got ejected for punching a guy, couldn't believe I was watching that. DeMarcus Robinson comes in the game, and he had a crazy week.
Amazing.
Bro. And so, like, McVay, as long as he has Kupp and Stafford, and then you add in Puka, yeah, this 2.5, it's not a big enough gap for me with Miami, who continues to not get over the hump with Tua, and Jalen Waddle seems to be just irrelevant in this offense now. I just don't know what happened with Jalen Waddle over the past this whole season. It feels like he hadn't really done anything. So McDaniel can't seem to figure things out in Miami, and the Rams are getting the ball rolling in the NFC West, and arguably could be fighting for that spot to take over against Arizona. And so, yeah, those are our picks for this week, man. I think those are a great slate. As we go through that, what do you have a lock of the week, Dion?
Oh yeah, give me Dallas.
Dallas lock of the week.
Give me Dallas to be the lock, man. Where they at? Dallas is.
I think they're 7.5.
Yeah.
Eagles.
Yeah. Give me that. That's definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lock. Yeah. No, I'll rock out with them. Yeah, give me Dallas again. Second week of them being my lock. I think it'll get ugly out there in Dallas.
Okay, lock of the week,
So
Dallas.
I feel some more memes coming.
All right, say less. My lock of the week will be Minnesota. Minnesota versus Jacksonville. 3.5 just seems too low, especially if you watch the way the Vikings played last week and the defense looking the way it did. I just don't see how this 3.5 is the line here. And so I like the Vikings at 3.5. Hopefully, Jaguars on Jaguar like they did last week and come back late in the game to cover the spread. But I just don't see this being a contest, especially if Trevor Lawrence really is hurt as much as they say he is. So, yeah, I'm going Vikings at 3.5. Whoa, getting a call. Love that. I'm not that popular, I promise you I'm not. Promise you I'm not. But, yeah, those are the picks for this week, Dion. Let's end it with, of course, final thoughts. You have any?
Final thoughts. I guess we have to. We're not political, but we got to talk about the election. I know a lot of people are disappointed, especially our black women. So, guys, celebrity. But yeah, we just want to say that me personally, I know Corey may feel the same, but I'm rocking with all our black queens out there. I know y'all may feel disappointed. Just got to keep pushing. It's going to be a very interesting 4 years, but hey, we just got to lock in and ball up top.
Hey, ball up top, man. God got us. That's all that matters, baby. So either way, my final thoughts for this week, I don't even know if I have a real final thoughts, bro. Like, I just felt like it's been a good week. I think it's been very, very cool to see all these things happening around the sports world, things happening with the trade deadline, of course, and NBA kicked off. And, of course, Wemby had that 5x5 crazy game there. Hockey kicked off. Shout out to all the hockey fans. And Dodgers and Yankees. Oh, man, what a series for Shohei. Finally getting the dub and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. I just love sports right now. It's a lot of things going on. And, yeah, I just think we should all just...
Women's basketball back too.
Women's basketball, college though. You're talking about college.
Yes.
I mean, all basketball is back. If you count college, my bad. I didn't say men's basketball.
Yeah, come on, we gotta make sure we show our ladies some love.
You're right. Hey, shout out Longhorns, by the way. Rory Harmon, Madison Booker. I actually have a one-on-one with Madison Booker. Look it up. It's on YouTube. It's on KV Plus. It's good. Good little interview with the SEC preseason player of the year. Little plug there. So got a little one-on-one with her. So yeah, a lot of great sports happening, and I hope y'all tune in to what's happening, not just in the political sphere, but in the sports sphere as well. So as always, though, we haven't done this in person.
No, we'll see how this sounds.
Man, here we go. Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed that episode. Stay up to date with Mose Knows by subscribing to Corey Mose on YouTube or simply searching Mose Knows on Spotify or Apple Music. Thanks for listening and have a great week.